Hello friends. In this video, we are going to implement deepCompare method. So this is an important interview question. Why it is so important? Because you have to know a lot of JavaScript and its corner cases to implement this method, right? So that's why companies will ask you to implement this method to check how much JavaScript do you know. So I'm going to explain everything step by step, and also I'll tell you what and all corner cases are there, some JavaScript hacks, etc. And also I have set of inputs which is going to have like different values, and we are going to pass all these values to deepCompare method. So that is going to give us true or false. So if you see these inputs, it is going to contain primitive values like numbers, string, and non-primitive values like array, object, and nested object with array that is going to contain another object, right? So we are going to compare all these things, and also we are going to handle this corner case with the value null. Before starting the code, if you are preparing for interview, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'll provide my social links in the description. So let's begin. So first I have created a method deepCompare. It is going to take two arguments, okay, and we can call deepCompare. Okay, so I'll define const a equal to 10 and b equal to 10. Okay, so we can pass this a and b here, and we are going to compare if arg1 is equal to arg2, right? If both are same, then we are going to return true, else we are going to return false. Okay, let's console this. Okay, so now we are getting true, right? Because both the values are same. If I make it to 20, okay, so it is going to return false. Okay, consider we are going to give a string and a number. It is going to return false again. Okay, right, so it is giving false. So one thing to understand in JavaScript is when we compare this with double equal to, right? So double equal to is going to compare only the values. For example, if I have 10 as a string and 10 as a number, if we compare these two with double equal to, it is going to give true. To compare the value along with the type, we have to use triple equal to, right? So if we compare this, and if the both values are same, we are going to return true, else we are returning false. Okay, so what about non-primitive values like an array? Right, so it is returning false. For now it is returning false, right? So why? Because when we compare two array with triple equal to, so JavaScript is going to check the reference. So here we have created new array, and this is another new array. Both the memory reference are different. So when we compare the memory reference, both are different. So that's why both are not same array as per JavaScript. So we have to write some logic to compare individual values. Okay, to compare individual values. So for that, instead of returning false, right? So if the values are not same, instead of returning false, we are going to check whether that is an array or not. If array dot is array, okay, arg1 and array dot is array arg2, right? So array dot is array is a static method which will take an argument. So if it is an array, it's going to return true, else it is going to return false. So we are comparing both the values. If both the values are array, then we have to go through each element and compare, right? So this is the array comparison. Before comparing each element, we can check whether both the array's length are same or not. For example, if the lengths are different, the array anyway is going to contain different values, right? So right away we can check the lengths are same or not. Only if the lengths are same, then we are going to compare each values, else we can directly return false, right? If arg1 dot length is equal to arg2 dot length, then compare, right? Else we are right away going to return false. Okay, next let's implement the comparison logic. So we are going through each element. Let I equal to 0, I less than arg1 dot length, and I plus plus. Okay, so we are going through each element and we are going to compare these values. If arg1 of I, okay, not equal to arg2 of I, then we can right away return false. If you are returning false, then this function will stop its execution and it is going to return false, right? So it is not going to move further. If the for loop completes successfully, which means all the values are same, so we can right away return true. Okay, so I'm writing this return true outside of this for loop, right? So if the for loop successfully completes, then all the values are same, then we are returning true. If values are different, here this condition will become true and we'll enter this section and the function will stop its execution. All right, so let's test this. I'll give 1 2 3 and it's giving true, and if I give 3, it's giving false, right? So this is one level of comparison. If I give another array 1 comma 2, and here if I give 1 comma 2, it is giving false, right? So it is giving false because we are checking each value, and the fourth value in this array is another array, and here also it is another array. If we compare two array, right, if we compare two arrays, it is going to check the reference. Again, both are different references, and according to JavaScript both are not the same. So how to compare these values, 1 comma 2 is there or not? So if you remember, we implemented flat method, right? So array flat method. So there is a video available. If you have not seen the flat array method implementation, you can check in my channel, it is available. So in that we used a recursion to solve that problem. Same thing we are going to do here. So we are going to use a recursion to again call this method, and then this method will take care of comparing these values and will return true or false. Based on that, we can decide what to return. So we can just pass these two arrays inside this deepCompare method, and this is going to contain all the logic to understand and compare these two values. So let's see how we can do that. So instead of checking both the values directly, what I'm going to do is I will first check type of arg1 of I equal to type of arg2 of I. Okay, so I'm checking the types. Why? Because for example, if I have 10 here and here I have array, so if we compare these two, both the types are not same, right? Anyway, it's going to return false. So if these two types are not same, we can right away say that these two are not going to be the same values. Only if the type of both the values are same, then only we are going to compare. So if the types are same, then compare, else return false. Okay, so while going through each values, we are comparing both the types, and if the types are same, then we have to compare the values, else we are directly going to return false. Okay, to handle primitive value, we have this condition over here, right? So now we can just call this method with arg1 of I and arg2 of I, right? So initially it is going to pass 1 and 3. So this deepCompare method will receive 1 and 3 from this recursion. So we are going to compare 1 and 3. It is a primitive value and is going to return true, right? So if both are same, but here both the values are different. So it is going to come here. If both the values are array, then it will enter. We can just return false, right? So if both the values are array, then it is going to enter this section, else we are going to return false, right? So both the values are not same, it is not going to enter here and not here as well, and at the end it will reach here and return false. So we'll come back to this place. So this method will return true or false. So is same. Okay, so we'll receive true or false. So if it is same, then we are not going to do anything. We can iterate to the next value. But if it is not same, we came to know that this is not same, right? One of the values is not same, then no need to move forward. So we can directly return. If it is not same, we can just say that both the values are not same, right? Both the arrays are not same. Okay. Okay, now we are getting false and I'll make 1, and we are getting true because we are going through each value, and when we enter this array again is passed as argument using this recursion, and based on both the values are same or not, right? So again this array will come here, again this array will come here, 1 comma 2 and 1 comma 2, right? So we'll get these two values, and again this comparison will happen, and each value will be compared one by one, and 1 and 2 will be compared here in the next iteration. So we can just change the length and it is going to return false. If we add 3 here, it is going to return true. All right. So now we are handling array condition, right? So we have to handle object. For example, I am going to make this a colon 1 and a colon 1. Okay, so if we compare these values 1, 2, 3, all these values are same, and here when it comes to object we don't have any case to handle that. Okay, I'll minimize this array handling part and I'll implement else if. Okay, so we are going to check whether both the values are object. Okay, so why we are individually checking this? In JavaScript, type of object is going to object, type of array is going to be object, type of null is also going to be object, right? So we cannot rely on type of method to check whether it's an object or array or null. So we have to handle all these conditions. So by using array.isArray method, we are checking whether the given input is array or not. To check whether it is an object, we have to use constructor dot name. So arg1 dot constructor dot name should be object, and arg2 dot constructor dot name also should be object. So if this is the case, then both are objects like this, right? So both are going to be object like this. So now we can compare each key. For example, here we have a as key and here also we have a as key. So we can take this key and we can check whether the key is available here, and we can check the values both are same or not. By using this we can compare two objects. Okay, let's see how we can implement. Right. So before checking one by one, we can check both objects having same number of keys or not. For example, if I have b colon 2, right? So here we have two keys in this object, and here we have only one key in this object, which means both are not same, right? Same as we did in array. So if the lengths are not same, then we are right away returning false. Same thing we can do here. If object dot keys, okay, so object dot keys will give all the keys of an object inside an array. Okay, key length. Okay, so this is going to return an array, so we can use dot length to check the length. If both are not same, right away we are returning false. Okay, if both the lengths are same, we have to go through each key and compare whether the key is available in another object or not. So for key in arg1 of key, and object 2 value is going to be argument 2's of key, right? So we will get, so here we'll get a and b in the loop, right? So I have to add here so that will enter this loop, else right away the key lengths are different, so it will be ignored, right? So it won't enter here. So now we have same key length, and we are going to iterate through each values, and we'll get, okay, so the same thing we did with array we're going to do here. If type of object1 dot val, sorry, object1 val is equal to type of object2 val, okay, then here we can just do the same thing, then return false, and here after this for loop we can return true. Okay, type of, that is a type over here. Okay, now it's fixed. Okay, so why are we again recursively calling? If the types are different, then we can right away return false. Else, if the types are same, we have to deep compare each value. So we have to, so we can do that by using deep compare method, right? So we have two arrays. If we just pass two array, this method will handle and return true or false, right? So instead of again writing the same logic here, we can call this deep compare method by passing object 1 and object 2. Okay, so if it is returning false, then we can return false, else automatically it will come here, we are going to return true, so both the values are same. So I think our function is actually handling most of the cases. Now we have to check one more corner case, which is null. So null is a tricky part. For example, if I use this input, okay, so our program is going to break here. So what's happening is when we are trying to access null.construct.name, it is going to throw error. So null doesn't have any property like constructor, so that's why it is throwing error. So before entering these things, first we have to handle our null case here, right? So before entering anything, before doing any comparison, we also have to check whether the value has anything like null or not. So we can check arg1 is null, okay, or arg2 is null. So if any one of these values is null, then arg1 equal to null, and then arg2 equal to null. Okay, so we can add else if here to handle the array property, right? So if array 1 is null or array 2 is null, we are checking whether both are null or not. So we can return true if both are null, else it is going to return false. Alright, so we implemented all the cases. So we are comparing primitive values, we are handling null values, we are checking array, we are checking object, we are using a recursion to handle nested values, to compare nested values. So now it's time to test with different inputs. Okay, so first I'll go here, I'll compare these two values. It is giving false. Let's test with second value. It is giving true. And third value, it is giving false. And we have fourth value, which is giving true. Fifth value, it is giving false. It's time to check nested ones. So it is giving false because the arrays values are different. Let's compare this. So it is giving true. And next we're going to handle this corner case, which is null. We already did. So if there is a null, we were getting some error, so we can handle that using this condition. Cool, this is working as expected. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to this channel, and also share with your friends, and you can check out other videos in this channel, so that will be helpful in your interview preparation. And thanks for watching.